What do you know about Beethoven?
He wrote pathetic first movement.
Gosh,
13.
I came with glasses. Yeah.
I'm not gonna look like Beethoven anymore. I'm gonna look like. Whoa! Now that's the wig. That's the Beethoven.
Dude,
wig,
Beethoven
bro.
had gray hair. That's literally how his hair looked. Huh? Somebody's an imposter. Is this okay? Beethoven didn't just go deaf. He grew up terrified in his own home, beaten, humiliated, dragged out of bed in the middle of the night.
Who dragged him out of bed?
His daddy. And was forced to perform for drunk adults as a child. And somehow, that trauma became some of the most powerful music ever written. Yeah. So, why should anyone care? Before we get into the trauma drama, let's answer the real question. Why should a normal person care about some guy in a wig 200 years ago?
He's good looking.
Beethoven is basically the guy who turned background music into something that feels like a movie plot. Before him, instrumental music was just polite, elegant, very nice.
Dainty.
Yeah. Think about it like fancy wallpaper. This was the classical era, which followed rules, was focused on balance, symmetry, structure, control.
Control.
But Beethoven, his wallpaper was drama, babes. Tension, conflict, emotional chaos.
Chaos.
He taught music how to feel, and he did it while surviving severe childhood abuse. Okay? Loneliness, heartbreak. I'm talking about heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak, while completely losing his sense of hearing. Child star in a nightmare home. Beethoven was born in 1770 in Bonn, which is now Germany. His father, Johann, not Johann Sebastian Bach,
Johann.
just Johann, was a court singer, but his career kind of like flopped. So what did he do? He became a severe alcoholic. Neighbors, relatives, and then court documents actually described him as violent, erratic, and emotionally unpredictable.
So that's where I got it from.
He became obsessed with one thing, like his goal in life,
What?
turning little Ludwig Beethoven into the next Mozart.
Really?
Yeah.
So Mozart is older than Beethoven?
Yeah.
But wow.
Yeah, they were alive at the same time. And you know Mozart? He was... Let me tell you about Mozart, okay? He was a child prodigy. Probably one of the greatest in the classical era.
He was playing blindfolded for royalty.
Johann, the dad of Beethoven, thought, you know, I can make him into a child prodigy, basically, so he could become famous, have money, and have status. On the moolah. He forced him to practice hours upon hours upon hours upon hours upon hours upon hours every single day. If he made mistakes, he was... He was dragged out of bed in the middle of the night, literally half asleep, to perform for drunk guests that his father wanted to impress. And if he cried, he was mocked. If he hesitated, he was threatened. If he messed up, he was hit. And sometimes, even when Johann was... Because he was also drunk, okay? It wasn't just the friends. Beethoven would be locked alone in rooms and even cells. Locked in cells. A cell. So this kind of upbringing, as you might assume, would bring a lot of fear, affects a child's nervous system. So Beethoven later developed chronic anxiety, emotional withdrawal, intense self-criticism, and explosive anger. This is why Beethoven later on becomes also hyper-independent.
I don't want Mozart in here anymore. Because of him. My dad made me compare myself to him, and now I suffer forever in my life.
Don't worry, Basti.
I have explosive anger issues.
So he hated authority, and he hated being controlled, and he hates being told what to do. He becomes very stubborn, defiant, and emotionally guarded, and very, very private. This is different from Mozart, who had a proud, supportive father and received emotional encouragement. Mozart was known to be playful, goofy, like complete opposite from Beethoven. Okay, complete opposite. Vienna, fame, chaos, and a messy genius. As a young adult, Beethoven moves to Vienna from Germany, which is the music capital of Europe. Okay, if y'all don't know, that's a musical hub. Vienna is the place. It's like the LA or the New York for musicians. Okay. He studies with Joseph Haydn, which is also one of the greatest composers alive. And at first, his music was following the classical style, you know, because we were in a classical era, very elegant, refined, polite. And his number one symphony sounds very, very traditional to that, okay? But internally, while creating this music, Beethoven felt very constrained by tradition. Ooh. And he just, you know, he wanted like emotional freedom.
Just to pour out.
Yeah.
He feels.
Literally. Oh, you hear that? Dun, 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 dun. Oh. So that was his first symphony, bro.
At what age? You should know this.
You're Beethoven. What age did he was 29 through 30 years old. He quickly becomes famous as a pianist. Aggressive, emotional. He plays loudly and then softly and then violently again. People said watching him perform felt like watching a storm, literally, okay, quote unquote. But his personal life, total disaster. Visitors described his apartment as chaotic. Piles of music everywhere, dirty dishes, clothes scattered, a bunch of dust.
No wonder he got so many divorces.
You want to know something else?
What?
He had no furniture.
No furniture?
Like little, barely anything. He would pour jugs of cold water over his head while thinking, and it would even flood the floor and annoy all the neighbors downstairs. So he constantly got in fights with the neighbors, the landlords. And he is like that Karen. He's literally a Karen.
You don't see lawlessness?
But in the middle of all that chaos, his music is incredibly structured, controlled, and powerful.
Power.
In his late 20s, Beethoven notices something terrifying. His hearing starts to fade. First it's ringing, you know how you get
tinnitus.
Then it's a muffled sound. Then the voice becomes unclear. Then
What? What did you say? What?
For a musician, this is like the worst thing that could ever happen to you other than like breaking all your fingers. He panics. He literally withdraws from everybody, isolates himself, and becomes very depressed and ashamed. He does not want anybody to know. And then in 1802, doctors sent him to a small village outside Vienna called, I actually have no idea how to say this, Heiligenstadt.
Heiligenstadt.
There, alone and helpless, he wrote a long letter to his brothers. Okay, he got that doctor handwriting. But in this letter, basically revealed that he was so in the lowest point of his life that he literally wanted to himself. He wrote,
"How can I possibly admit an infirmity in the one sense which should be more perfect in me than others?"
He admits he was close to considering ending his life. But then he writes,
It was only my art that held me back. I could not leave this world until I had brought forth all that I felt within me.
No one saw this letter until after his death. He didn't die, actually, not yet.
Not yet.
But this is like the rawest
Come
window.
back. Come back. Come back.
Okay, you get it. He was, kind of going through it. Fighting fate through music. After this moment, Beethoven's music completely changes. It's like, crap.
What am I going through?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, basically.
He writes his third symphony, the Eroica, which is
that's right.
it's twice as long as traditional symphonies. If you know nothing about symphonies, they're pretty long.
He did
but
not
this is
care.
like even longer. It's described as violent, heroic, emotional, and revolutionary. Audiences
Say that one. Say that part again.
revolutionary.
Revolutionary. Hear that, Mozart. Hear that, Mozart. Okay.
Audience were shocked.
That's right.
Okay.
I wonder what he was feeling behind this.
Yeah.
It's kind of sublime. It's like pleasant. It's sweet. It's like joyful.
Okay. So then he said,
I am not satisfied with the works I have written so far. From now on, I intend to take a new path.
that's right.
I don't know if he was British, right?
I don't think so. That single sentence launches the Romantic era. Beethoven is that guy. So then comes his Fifth Symphony.
The five.
The five, which is the very famous one for the da 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 dong, ba 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 ba.
Probably got inspired by his farts.
So then comes his Ninth Symphony, which is the first symphony in history to include a choir. You're gonna know this one, Bestie. Oh, Beethoven.
It's not enough. I need more.
More. Yeah.
Fury.
You want to know something crazy too?
What?
When he wrote that, Beethoven was deaf. So that leads to the big question: how did Beethoven compose while deaf? Around 1818, he could barely hear anything. First, he used this thing called perfect internal hearing. He could hear music in his mind with extreme clarity. Okay. And it's called audiation, the ability to basically imagine sound internally. So he was so good, like he could hear everything himself. The music was living inside of his brain.
That's right.
Okay.
Behind this behind his hair is a bunch of secrets I have.
He used a bone conduction. So basically imagine a grand piano, right? And there's literally a stick connected to the piano that would go inside of your jaw and the skull, and which would vibrate into his ear.
Ugh.
Yeah, and that let him be able to sense pitch and rhythm, on dynamics and stuff. Then he relied on literally just being the goat of theory. He understood harmony, counterpoint, structure, tension and resolution so well that he could build entire symphonies logically, even without sound.
He didn't pass music theory, he made music theory.
That's right. You said something there, sister. And actually, neuroscience suggests that when somebody loses a sense, the brain like rewires itself. So Beethoven's memory, visualization, and pattern recognition basically became like extra supercharged to compensate for the fact that he couldn't hear. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like his brain was like, all right, man, got a full load, full power mode. Yeah. And the wildest part is that he literally wrote his greatest works while completely deaf. So one of them being the Ninth Symphony, the Missa Solemnis, the late string quartets, and the piano sonatas. Even at the premiere of the Symphony No. 9, Ocho Joy, in 1824, he was literally conducting while not being able to hear. But at the end, when the whole symphony was over, somebody had to like physically turn him around, and what he saw, standing ovation. Everybody standing, clapping, cheering.
But at what cost?
And that transitions me to segment 5, loss, love, and family conflict.
My wife, Clementine. That was her name, right?
No.
Oh.
Beethoven's personal life remained painful. He fell in love so many times, but almost always with women he couldn't marry because of his social class. His letters reveal deep longing and heartbreak. He proposed to several women, actually, in his life, including Teresi Malfatti, but was rejected.
Why does she look like me, man?
So yeah, that's how she looks. She's a baddie.
I mean, I got the forehead, though. I got a big forehead. Look at that.
So he was successful, famous, pero está solito. Then came also the big old custody battle for his nephew, Carl. You might wonder, what is the whole thing about this custody battle? Why do I include it? You don't understand how intense this was for Beethoven, okay? He had no love in his life. He basically fought his brother's widow, okay, in court for years. He convinced himself that he was like the only person able to take care of his nephew. And apparently his nephew's mom was like an immoral mother because, I mean, she was immoral because she like was accused of theft and fraud, had money problems, was in debt, and was a scandalous woman. And she was involved in multiple relationships. And I guess especially in the 1800s in Vienna, it was like a big deal. Like it would really damage your reputation as a woman. Beethoven grew up in a very toxic environment. He felt like it was his job to raise his nephew. I think it was personal, you know, because he didn't have that love. And he wanted to save Carl. So after 10 lawsuits, he finally won the case. And even though Beethoven won, Carl became very unhappy.
What?
Because his parenting style was extremely strict, controlling.
No.
It was intense, okay? Very intense.
He was supposed to break the cycle. He did not.
And he placed like this sense of perfectionism on him. Because he himself was all of that. It's like, toxico, bro.
Beethoven, come on.
So Carl felt trapped and emotionally suffocated. And the pressure came so overwhelming that in 1826, Carl attempted
Am I the problem?
It shattered Beethoven. It broke his heart. This shows that Beethoven wasn't a perfect hero. No. He was a deeply wounded man, trying to love without ever being taught how. It was a way for him to heal his inner child, I think. And just completely failed because he died a year later. And that was because of all the emotion and stress from Carl ending himself. And he also had liver problems, but...
So Carl died?
No, Beethoven died instead. A year later. How he changed music forever. Bach mastered complexity. Mozart perfected beauty. But Beethoven added emotional honesty. He turned music into emotional storytelling, psychological trouble, and personal confession. Without Beethoven, the romantic composers like Chopin, Schumann, Brahms, and Tchaikovsky would simply not exist. He made music feel human. And how would you describe a human? We're just complex.
Yeah.
Why does he still matter? Beethoven taught the world that music doesn't have to be perfect.
Pathetic.
It can be broken, pathetic, messy, angry, grieving,
Scandalous.
scandaloso. And that's why 200 years later, his story still matters. If you want a part 2 where we break down how his music actually works, if you want me to do another, another composer, drop a comment, leave a like, and let us know what part shocked you the most. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye. I mean, the contrast with the black hair and the white hair is bothering me a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Just
Okay.
a tiny bit.
Should we get some background music? Okay. Maybe some classic
Some
Beethoven.
Beethoven, some of my music.
Yeah.
If you have a test to study for, watch this video. And you'll be
There you go.
entertained, you'll be informed, you'll be inspired. So subscribe.
Most importantly, Beethoven. Beethoven, the messy, deaf, angry genius who changed music. Actually, this is a wrong document. Actually, I have a lot of titles. I don't know which one to use. The messy, deaf, angry genius who changed music. Or Beethoven, a life in sound and silence. I have Beethoven, the tragic life behind the greatest music.
Are we singing the speech for his funeral? Or what?
And Beethoven, do you have any preferences?
The first one is a little too realistic.
Why?
Because messy. First of all,
I don't know what
messy.
you're talking about.
Messy.
The first one. Oh, okay. Beethoven, the messy, deaf, angry genius who changed music. Beethoven,
Actually, I like.
Which one do you like?
I like Beethoven, the tragic life behind the greatest music.
Greatest music? I think that's a little.
I said the tragic.
Oh, no, that was Mozart's hair.
Yeah, okay.
That's Mozart. Okay. All right.
You learn a lot about their feud, actually.
They have few.
A few moments later.
Because of him. My dad made me compare myself to him, and now I suffer forever.
That shit doesn't fit my head. Hashtag save Carl.